Good afternoon, freedom fighters. It is 12:12 p.m. East Coast time, July 23rd, 2025. As we can see on Next Lab College of the page here, all of our cell phones seem to be working with the NextRads, in my opinion. NextRads are turned up to energize the atmosphere to create the weather that's in the Gulf now. That may be a possible development. All the cell phone towers seem to ping. We're going to zoom in on the southeast here in a couple different areas. Very unusual in Mississippi how strong this has turned up. Heavy beams for a reason. Why do we see these beams and this activity in our weather systems all the time now? You won't see it on your normal um, news actors because that's animated radar. This is actual radar. And you're seeing the energy that is being put off into our atmosphere by these devices working together, even with satellites. Lyndon B. Johnson stated in 1962, if I'm correct, weather controlling satellites. He didn't even know about the radar systems, and there was no cell phone towers yet. They already knew they can control the weather. They've been releasing weather balloons on tethers since the 1930s, energizing the atmosphere. There's books on war and weather because after the battle it would rain because of the chemicals that was released. But let's zoom in on some of these areas of activity. Florida was very strange as well. During the same time, weather's been built up on us all morning, not really moving, but just build up on top of us. Energy coming from what looks like the Funiac Springs area, beams into this heavier weather system. You can also see towers pinging in Florida at the same time as they were in Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia, right there. And all of this technology seems to be manipulating the weather. You do not see this on regular TV anywhere. And this will be removed from us very soon, I imagine. I cannot believe we still have access to all this. But their technology cannot hide from their technology. Okay, my friends, I have paused it as the cell phone towers are all pinging at one time. Massive energy coming from what looks like Louisiana and Florida at the same time. Weather in the Gulf, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. Everything goes off all the way to Texas. You know how much energy that is? People are like, oh, they don't have enough energy to control our atmosphere. Well, I don't know. How much energy would this be? All of these things are overlapping, the next rads, the cell phone harp towers, and not to forget the incredible satellite technology I'm witnessing go up on a weekly basis from Florida. They just released another one yesterday morning or the day before. They are doing them daily almost. This one here in what I believe is Arkansas has multiple pulses coming out of it. Let's let it play one time. Then I want to zoom in on Georgia and Alabama here, see if it plays. But microwave energy beams, NextRads, and cell phone tower activity, plus the incredible geoengineering chemtrail operation that's going on in Bristol Bay, Bering Sea, and the North Pacific right now, all the way down to California. We'll be moving on to that next. But also right here is Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. Zoomed in. Let's look at this technology. Pinging, bleeping, whatever you want to call it. Pinging, I guess, would be the best word. Energizing our atmosphere. Massive amounts of power is going to these cell phone towers if you look at them. storms being created like I've never seen before. Downpours instantly. I just seen some of the largest raindrops I've ever seen. That's one way to make it be able to rain feet at a time, create heavier precip than ever before. It's not sprinkling anymore. It's downpours like we've never seen before, maybe. Moving on to the incredible ship operation and aircraft operation. By the way, there's still sands coming across. I thought I seen it quit, but there's some this morning. But they have the water temperature in the Gulf extremely warm. Why is it warmer in Louisiana than it is in Cuba? You know, they're superheating the area for a reason. Moving on to the ships. Very large operation in Bering Sea at this moment. Thousands of miles are being chemtrailed out. Each one of these lines is aircraft that has spread very largely. But I commercial fish in Bristol Bay, and some of the largest aircraft I've ever witnessed was pumping out material here. You can also see a lot of ripples from the HARP machine as I zoom in on these chemtrails. They go right on across. A lot of major earthquakes going on right now, too, in this area. Frequency waves coming through the islands as the chemtrail operation continues this morning. This is like an hour ago, but heavy chemtrail operation right on through off of Alaska, the southeast Alaska, where I also fish. My boss sent me a picture of an X. Heavy chemtrails coming his way right now. He's very aware of this, but as most people, they're like, oh, there's nothing we can do. But if I had 300 million Americans wake up and come outside their house and talk to each other, they got us where we don't communicate anymore. I have one of the most unusual commercial fishing vessels on the planet, and people, I get stop and get fuel, and I'll have cars pulling up to me. Cars pulling up to me on the highway wanting to know what it is. That doesn't happen anymore. They don't say a word. Right now, there's something being created in our Gulf. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on the operation in the North Pacific. You can see the operations going on up here. Sorry it's so glitchy there. But you can see the lines. This is 23 minutes ago. Aircraft spraying way more than the normal air traffic would be. But I want to show you these ships from last night. Go back 24 hours. It's my birthday. Nice present from our rulers. But here's one of the aircrafts I wanted to show you. I mean, ships I wanted to show you. Look how much smoke's coming out of this one vessel. But I want to bump it ahead. You can see that he just keeps continuing. That's at 10-minute intervals. I'm going to bump it up to an hour. Massive ships, super tankers with hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel on board. While they're taking place in other areas here too. Like I said, ships do not divert course. Point A to point B, the only course change we do is because of currents or wind. This ship did a hard right turn. I'm going to back it up about 3-4 hours, maybe more, to get it to where he turned. Oh, it's crisscrossed. That's two ships. There's an X where they pass each other. Another ship there. That's what that is. But these ships are changing course, very obviously. Multiple ships spraying our oceans in grid patterns. You know what I mean? We do not put out smoke with our diesels. It's insane. I've lived on the Mississippi River since 1995. There's a ship doing a circle there. That's what I'm talking about. We do not change course. He is completely changing course. That's backing it up 10 minutes at a time. It's a nightmare knowing all this. Look how many ships they are. I mean, we're not even seeing it all. We're just seeing the massive ones. But a ship took a hard to the port turn. Not natural. Uh, the webs we weave. Mad science is a real term. Gold fever is a real disease. These people need to be shut down, but it's been going on for generational. They're creating a storm before the storm. You know what I mean? There wasn't a cloud out here, and they're talking about development. We used to investigate areas, but now they tell you where they're going to create it. We just witnessed it. Very large fires going on across the planet. 14 million acres right about in Canada that's been scorched. Here's entire lines of fire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right on through. It's live. It's 26 minutes ago. People are losing their home. Over 30,000 people has forced evacuation in Canada. Untold amount of acres are on fire in Alaska as well, but here's a massive fire in California. I've heard Oregon's having one of their largest fires in their history. If I didn't know better, I would say it's our genocide, one house at a time, or one neighborhood at a time, or one city at a time. Still some hint of sand, still coming across. I could see. I was hoping they shut it off, but people thinks it's stopping hurricane season. Yeah, they don't need it out here anymore. They can create it right here in our backyard now. Like we've never seen before. Mexico's has some of the strongest hurricanes in the beginning. Acapulco and all this area here was wiped out. I've seen videos of major catastrophes took place in Mexico this year. Strongest, earliest hurricanes in history. Not kidding. Floods everywhere, fires everywhere. I am gonna probably let y'all go. I don't know where to go from here. Let me see if I can find something. We're no longer on a blue planet. It really saddens me. Poison the oceans. Our ocean gives us oxygen. Trees, yes, but our ocean provides our oxygen. It's, there's less than 10% of the planet has trees. You know what I mean? There's some trees. There's some trees. And the ones in Florida are dying at the minute, this minute. Thank you, Warriors, at 12 minutes. I want to go over some statistics. Status report. Millions of dead trees are dying across the United States. 36 million dead trees. I can only imagine, it's 136 million dead trees. Alaska was the most dead trees I've ever seen. It's happening in every country. Oregon, every state, every country. Alaska looks terrible. It looks like this in some areas. And it's the spruce that's dying. Like the hemlock's okay. It's just weird. Even here, I see some trees, maybe with a different water source, are making it. I just seen a report that Chesapeake Bay's having fish kills. It's happening globally. Florida, I do not have a fishery any longer because they hauled them off in dump trucks. It doesn't matter. Every state, if they have fish, are reporting fish losses. Every country. I am watching our planet die, and no one is paying attention. Just even a million of us might be. That's still no one. A lot of fake stuff on the news with these fake cloud seeding companies and all. I can't believe the horse manure they are shoveling us. Witnessing the collapse of the insects. Florida used to be a bug state, but I have watched them poison it. The fiddler crabs out here on my local beach used to part like the Red Sea when you walk down it. They're not there now. It's not just the bugs. Our chemical companies have neutered our planet. for money. The beautiful bugs are gone. I'm amazed when I see a butterfly now. I see one or two. We have quite a few birds here in Florida right now, but I hear mass die-offs everywhere. And I see way less birds than my youth was. And my uncle in Louisiana is reporting way less birds in his area. He can tell by his fruit trees are not being attacked. I haven't seen a sparrow in quite some time. Very sad to witness the beautiful planet. I grew up watching it from the 70s and 80s. I remember a lot where people don't seem to remember any of it. In Bristol Bay, we had 1 year there out of 8 years I fished there that it was rafts of feathers, some kind of seabird die off. Do we even have to wonder why all these animals are dying? Billions of dollars a year is being made spraying our lands, beautiful Alaska, to create weather systems that floods people's properties. There's hundreds of aircraft spraying Alaska right now, and Bristol Bay and Bering Sea. Undeniable. And I can't get anyone to care. Actually, I'll take that back. I see people fighting. I can't get anybody to care that's around me. I love the fight that I see online, but it's just not enough. They're not letting us out on their platforms. Imagine if anyone's seen this video in, the world. You know what kills me? That they create all these incredible movies of heroes when there is none. Why do you think they had all these wars? The theater of war, to kill off all the brave souls. Line your sons up, send them off to Vietnam. World War II killed ungodly amount of heroes that would be heroes. You know what I mean? Just looking around. Massive fires going off everywhere. Let me see. Kind of weird. I don't see the smoke on this one. Fairly clear. But when we go to Zoom Earth, you can see all the fires in Canada burning. Microwave energy. Very unusual storm right now in South Dakota to me. Yep, definitely a lot of energy going into these storms as well. You can see some of the cell phone activity also pinging. That's the word I'll use. Right here is really crazy. Look how the whole system's spinning, which I've seen naturally, well, I thought was natural. They've been doing this a very long time. Let's go back in time a little bit if it lets me for the Warriors at 18, 19 minutes here. Stand by. Okay, my friends. 7 minutes and 45 seconds is the first live broadcast of a hurricane. And for the people that does not recognize, this is Dan Rather. I growed up with him my entire life, and he said one wrong thing, and they gave him the boot. But few seconds into it, you'll see a chemtrail across the cloud. Oh, yeah, across the cloud. You will see chemtrail across the sky with no clouds, but the chemtrail from 1960s or whenever the storm came out. I don't know if I have it. I have a lot of patents on this one, but check this out. It's the first broadcast, and it's up next. Gonna call it NEXRAD, but it's not. It's the first radar ever. It's the first radar ever put online. And to me, it was made to control the weather, not for showing us the rain so much. But let's see what this is about. I just want to show it to you. Sorry for being so raw, but only at 20 minutes the warriors are standing by. Thank you very much.
One thing, it was dark as a crow's wing. There were snakes everywhere. I'm talking about thousands of snakes. And someone from the network is watching and saying to himself, this young man is pretty good. In this case, I got the break. Channel 11 KHOU television in 1960, when I came to work there, their ratings were so poor that we were at least the 5th or 6th station in a 3-station market. And I was brought in to be the news director, which basically meant I was the director of myself because we had no other full-time employees. But the station was under new ownership by a New York outfit called Whitney Communications, and they were determined to make the station competitive. At the 1.5-year mark, we had begun to make real progress. We were moving up in the ratings. We were getting a reputation for jumping all over breaking news. September of 1961, I noticed, because I've spent most of my life being interested in hurricanes, that a big hurricane was crossing the Yucatan Peninsula and going to get out into the Gulf of Mexico. The hurricane's name was Carla. It wasn't a big story at the time, but I called on, my experience and my interest in hurricanes. I had been following it closely, but when it got back into the Gulf of Mexico and began to reform, I started paying a lot of attention to it. I was born in Wharton, Texas, which is on the Texas coast, right in the heart of hurricane country. I grew up with the history, the mystery, and the lore of hurricanes. My grandmother, Paige, she once told me, she said, Dan, being in the middle of a hurricane is about as close as you will get to God. Carla, when it reformed in the Gulf of Mexico, it fairly quickly became a much bigger and much fiercer hurricane than it had been before. And by my amateur plotting, I had it coming in at or near Galveston Island. At the television station, I went to the program director, a man named Cal Jones. He knew from nothing about hurricanes. He'd never seen a hurricane, he'd never gone through a hurricane. He didn't know zip all about hurricanes. But I went to him and tried to explain, Cal, this hurricane is unusually large, it's unusually fierce. I think it may go in at or near Galveston Island, which is only 50 miles from Houston. And if this thing goes where I think it's going to go, and I'm just sort of guessing, this is going to be big breaking news. I also knew that in Galveston, the Weather Bureau had established a radar, a new radar. But radar was not yet widely used in weather predictions. I explained this to Cal. I might as well have been speaking Swahili or High Norse, but he grasped the potential importance of it. So he said, well, what would be the plan? I said, well, the plan be, we will go to Galveston, we will set up in the Weather Bureau at Galveston, on Galveston Island, where, Cal, they have this new radar. Galveston Island is going to get marooned. At that time, there was only one way in and one way off of this island. If we're going to go, we got to go now. He was reluctant, but he knew my news instincts were at least reasonably good. I took myself and a cameraman to Galveston Island. We got to Galveston Island, and the National Weather Service had sent down a man from Washington, a man named Vaughn Rockney. Rockney was at the Weather Bureau when I got there. He'd just arrived. Rockney explained to me how really big the hurricane was, how really fierce it was, and I looked at the radar, and the picture was mesmerizing. I had the idea, Rockney was a little reluctant about it. I said, well, look, on the radar, you do get a sense of how big and dangerous it is, but you don't get a sense of proportion with the Texas landmass for which it's headed. So let's take a scale map of Texas on a transparent piece of plastic and put it over the radar picture. Superimpose it over the radar picture where you will see an outline of the Texas coast, an outline of a bunch of Texas, and the radar's picture of the hurricane. So we put that up, and as soon as we showed the picture to our studio in Houston, the program director, Cal Jones, and the whole studio group back in Houston said a collective, wow. The hurricane came in, it hit just below Galveston. Everybody else was now sealed out. no other news crew could get into Galveston because, as I had foreseen, the island was sealed off. We were marooned in the Weather Bureau. I had the idea, it was a crazy idea. Well, one of the things I'll do is I'll go out and maybe I'll strap myself to a tree. And as the hurricane comes in, we'll be right in the middle of the hurricane. But we decided pretty quickly that it wasn't going to work. It was a bad idea. One thing, it was dark as a crow's wing. It was raining, it was hard to get a picture. And besides that, there was the problem of the snakes. Galveston Island is almost at sea level. It's almost flat. But the island has a slight rise in the middle, a slight rise. It turned out that snakes, like people, are looking for higher ground. Keep in mind, folks, this is Texas. Texas has a lot of things, including a lot of snakes. There were snakes everywhere. I'm talking about thousands of snakes. This strapping to a tree idea was not going to work. It was, in fact, a damn fool idea from the beginning. All the while this was happening, I had a wife and 2 young children. They were back home in Houston. As the storm went through, it knocked down a tree in our yard, and the tree came right through the bedroom of our house. It sort of crashed through the top of the roof and into the house. And it, of course, startled, to say the least, Jean and my 2 young children. When you're covering a breaking news story and you have live, continuous coverage, you have to get zoned. You have to focus on the story, and I was zoned. I regret to say that I did think about my family some, but the story is the only thing that matters. The hurricane came in just below Galveston. It was, and I think still stands, as the largest in terms of area hurricane on record. So we covered the hurricane as breaking news. We had an exclusive. We were the only people on the island. We had the scale map superimposed over the radar screen. The very large, the vast evacuation was affected. I'd been told that nobody on television had ever done this kind of thing. I'd also been told that CBS News in New York, they had plugged into our coverage, and they had carried a fair amount of our coverage live on the whole CBS network. And so shortly after I got back, I got a call from New York, and they wanted to talk to me about a job. I was stunned. I could have been more surprised if a live giraffe had come loping through the newsroom. And eventually, as a result of that coverage, they hired me to come to CBS News as a correspondent. And so the coverage of Hurricane Carla turned out to be a big break, maybe the biggest break I had as a professional.
Okay, he says some things that was interesting to me. Let's see what year the first radar came out. Okay, the first working radar system supposedly was in 1935 in England, before World War II. So almost 30 years later, supposedly the first radar was showing the hurricane rain or whatnot. Just a little information. Okay, my friends, I'm going to let you go as we're watching daybreak across the North Pacific and the incredible operation that's taking place. Y'all have a good day, a good night, a good morning, or a good evening, depending on what timeline you're on. It's 1 p.m. here in Florida and 1 a.m. in the Philippines. Commercial Fisherman standing by.